if you open up any textbook, you'll see it's caused by Legionella. The CDC closed the book on that. They didn't look any further, but there were other investigators who realized that it wasn't a germ that was causing it. It was simply phosgene gas leak. Every case where they saw a Legionnaire's disease, which is a pneumonia type illness, they were finding leaks of refrigerant. Usually, it was an air conditioning refrigerant, and it was always a heat source available hot enough to transform it into phosgene gas.
Right.
These people were suffering from phosgene gas poisoning. It was well documented, but since the health authorities don't have to go according to science, they have proclamation authority. They can say this is a germ, and that's our decision. And of course that helps the pharmaceutical companies, because you don't make money if you're a drug company if there's an environmental problem. Only if you have a drug to combat an infectious, they can call it an infectious disease.
Right, because then they could sell that.
So the cards are stacked against us. We will never. You can forget about reading medical studies. You're not going to make any points there. What you will do is you'll find paradoxes that are not addressed in the medical studies. So a person like me or an activist should properly propound this theory and show to people with common sense how to live their lives. And so when parents come to me and they say, what do I do if my child gets sick, I'll suggest this and a lot of things that that other people say. Naturopathic people have other theories that might be valid too, but in the area of infectious disease, that theory doesn't carry any water for me.
So just to clarify,
I can't recommend anything.
Is the natural hygiene theory, or the theory that we're talking about here, that there is no like airborne germs? Like you could walk, if you're a healthy person and you walk through, let's say, a room of sneezing, sick people with all sorts of different things, you can't get it that way.
True.
You're saying,
I agree with
really?
that. Yeah. Yeah.
I've heard that before,
well,
but I'm saying, is that what you're saying?
In Chinese medicine, there's a saying: if a nation's strong, there is no enemies. And so is the immune system. If your body is strong and your immune system is functioning as it should, it very rarely should get sick.
But is there airborne illness or is there not? Is that just an illusion or is that a real thing?
No, that's the answer. The answer is if your body is functioning like it should, it will process the external and just get rid of it. You know,
so there can be, and it lands on you, but you're strong enough that it does nothing.
Correct.
But so there is something there.
Yeah.
There is some sort of something in the air that can be.
You have to look at.
I'm a little confused on this.
If you read Béchamp or Pasteur, Béchamp was a French bacteriologist, but his antecedent, Gilles Tissot, T-S-O-T, there was a book written on his theories. It was called Rational Bacteriology, and it's a book that is still around. You can actually get that book downloaded from soilandhealth.org. It goes into that area. The contagion is a kind of sticky area because I think maybe 10% of diseases have the potential of cause exogenic bacteria have maybe 10% of an effect. 90% of it is really what's happening in the soil. It's the soil what's the environment in your body that is going to determine what effects you'll see. It's the dog that wags the tail, not the tail that wags the dog. The germ comes after. The soil determines the seed, the germ. In other words, it determines the expression of that gene. So that
let's make it even more simple.
Something comes through your body, and your body turns it into a germ.
No, I'll explain this clearly because we've only got a few minutes left, Gary, and I guess we still need to answer the question that we started with. And what I'm trying, so for example, there are certain bacteria that proliferate in certain environments.
Right.
Okay. Now, if your body is providing that environment, the bacteria will proliferate. That's basically it.
But the bacteria, where's that bacteria initially coming from?
Oh, from anywhere. Could be from anywhere.
Okay.
Could be from someone else.
It comes from the dead. It comes from the dead cells in your body, and the bacteria use these viruses and viroids. They use it like a tool. When you go into your workshop, you need a hammer.
Right.
And pull it out. These are called accessory genes. The bacteria uses them as a function.
And that's what they're supposed to do. That's how things renew in life and death.
Right. Well, the spleen actually, your red blood cells have an average span of 120 days. Your red blood cells regenerate every 120 days, and your spleen is in charge of cleaning them up. Now, if the spleen is slow in its function, it does not clean up these dead red blood cells efficiently. And what happens is they turn into waste. And with everything that's dead, it releases certain toxins.
And
certain
the bacteria jump on that.
Yeah, the bacteria jump on
and
that.
That's where the sickness
But also
comes from.
the fact that waste is not being clean is causing a blockage in itself. Okay? And the whole body starts to slow down. So therefore your immune system starts to slow down, and therefore certain bacteria like that environment. Does that make sense?
No, I'm seeing what you're saying now.
Yeah. So
Okay,
I mean, it's complex.
stuff.
It's not like you can't.
No one thinks of things this way at all.
Look at the way cities sprang up early on when they didn't know hygiene. People were, defecating in the stream upstream and drinking the water downstream. They didn't understand the connection. Then you saw the familiar filth diseases: smallpox, cholera, typhus. They sprang up everywhere where they didn't understand this connection. But then when the hygienic reformers of the 18th century, 19th century, they prevailed upon the town councils, and they showed through demonstration that there was a connection that converged with the pharmaceutical companies, because you have to remember in those days you had
big business was around
the internal combustion engine,
right?
And the growth in refining fuel, petrol, that began the the large drug companies in Germany especially to be able to produce chemicals that were able to suppress symptoms to a great specificity. As a result, that enabled the allopathic school to gain hegemony over the other healing arts. That was by the 20th century. It was a fait accompli.
Well, that I've always done, because a lot of people, like, for instance, they get the flu or they have a cold, which means obviously something's going on. The body's trying to cleanse itself. Right. And what do? They run out and get, like,
suppressants.
These Tylenol cold or NyQuil this or that. And like my mom, for instance, actually believes that she's being healed when she takes the pills, that she's healed for, like, the 6 hours that it's suppressed. And then when she gets real sick, bad again, her mind has made the connection that, I got sick when I didn't take the pill. It ran out. I needed to eat more and more and more.
Course.
And, like, I've said, no, that's just suppressing you, and since you're not healed, like, that was clear to me. I understood that.
Right.
But most people think it's helping them.
Now, let me interrupt here, guys. I'm with Michael Biggins and Gary Krasner from the Coalition for Informed Choice. I'm Giorgio Repeti. You're on Talking Alternative. When we come back, we're going to finish up with Gary Krasner, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Never have you known such cringing terror, such sudden shocks.
Mainstream topics, alternative views, and no bullshit. This is Talking Alternative with Giorgio Repeti.
Talking Alternative.
And I'm Giorgio Repeti. You're on Talking Alternative. We're talking about if you don't vaccinate your children, how do you take care for them when they get sick? We kind of
Kind of the history of medicine.
We kind of, but we in a lot of ways,
it is interesting.
We kind of did answer that question. Our number here is 877-480-4120. It's now 8 p.m. We have 5 more minutes. In case you've just joined us, you're listening to Talking Alternative.